Welcome to Hartley Football Game Day, brought to you by Hutta and Price Orthodontics.
Have you ever looked forward to going to any type of a doctor? Well, neither have I, but let me tell you, I do look forward to seeing Doctors Hutta and Price when I go to their practice. You know why? Well, it's as Dr. Hutta says. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And at Hutta and Price Orthodontics, you will know that they care from the very first visit. To find out the services that they provide or to set up a consultation, just go to their website at lovethatsmile.net.
Well, the Hartley Hawks went on the road last week playing at Norwalk, and they beat the Truckers by the score of 34-21. In doing so, the Hawks go over the 500 mark. They're 3-2 coming into this week's game. Another huge night for Trey Saunders last week. He was running the ball. He was catching the ball. And speaking of catching the ball, Peyton Underwood throwing for 147 yards in that game and also a pair of touchdowns. So the Hawks went to a more balanced attack, and they got themselves the win, exactly what they were looking for on the road. And now this week, they get to open CCL play against their rivals, the Stallions of St. Francis DeSales. Now, this rivalry took another step last year when the two teams played each other three times, twice in the regular season and once for a regional championship. DeSales won all three of the meetings last year. The Hawks have been waiting for an opportunity to go head-to-head once again. They get that opportunity this week at Jack Ryan Field. A couple of notable things. Jonathan Thompson, who is the top runner for DeSales, got injured prior to the season. He is not going to be in this game, but veteran quarterback Whit Hobgood has been running this offense well for the Stallions. They do come into the game 2-3, but he is going to be a formidable challenge again. And that seems to be something that has been a week-to-week thing for the Bishop Hartley Hawks, facing a quarterback that has the potential to change the game. So that's going to be the case again this week. Let's talk more about that big win last week and get you ready for this week's matchup with St. Francis DeSales as I bring in the head coach of the Hartley Hawks, Brad Birchfield. Well, Brad, last week you go on the road, you get a big win over Norwalk, a 13-point victory for your team. Assess that game for me, because last week we talked about learning from the first four games of the season and figuring out who you are, what you are as a team. What did you see in game 5 that give you some indications that the players have figured out what they are and what their strengths are right now?
Yeah, we're getting better, but you're always careful with that because, Norwalk is a good football team, but they're not the quality of the team we're playing now or the quality of team that we played the first few weeks. So, but I think it's all about us trying to get better. Did a pretty good job taking care of the football, had the one interception, which was a misread, but did a pretty good job taking care of the football, did a great job on defense. Our varsity guys shut them out all the way through. So we felt like we were doing, and they were pretty good on the offensive line. So we felt like we were at least making some corrections and getting better.
When I look at your offense, last week we talked about Peyton Underwood and his strength as a quarterback. I look at your stats from last week. No surprise, 298 yards rushing, but then about half of that was passing, about 147 yards in the air as well. Is this an indication of a Hartley football team that might become more of a balanced attack?
Well, like we say, it's dictated on what the opponent does. If they're going to, if DeSales comes out and they want to double Trey or double Richard, then we're going to have to do something else. If they want to come up and load the box and force us to throw it, then we're going to have to do those things. And that's what they did a year ago against us. So we've got to, and that's been a point of emphasis, that we've got to be good enough to take advantage of what the defense is choosing to not defend as much or commit as many people to. And that's a game of football, I think, for all sides.
Trey Saunders had another huge game last week for you. And again, where he really excels is when he can get the ball and get to the outside. You did have success in that with big runs for touchdowns as well last week. How important is that going to be no matter who you face? Is if you can get to the outside, utilize guys like Richard Kenny and Trey Saunders with the speed that they have. If teams don't take it away, you have to exploit it, right?
Sure, and usually that happens because they're trying to take away off tack, or they're trying to take away. A lot of teams have tried to take away trap and our A gap run game quite a bit. And when they do that, you've got to go to kind of the next plan, and it's not plan A and plan B, but everything kind of in this modern age of football is now a read on what people are doing and looking at their first movement. But you have to be good enough on the offensive line to do that, which is kind of and an unspoken thing. You know, a lot of teams run these read schemes, but they're not quite as good on the offensive line. So people in the backfield kind of make those read things look terrible. We've shown great improvement on the offensive line. Obviously, we feel like we've got a really good team there up front. So that's helped quite a bit.
Defensively, how do you feel going into this week with your defense? Again, you faced another quarterback that likes to pass last week, had a couple of passes, but all in all, do you like where you stand there?
Oh my gosh, we're an entirely different team with Dylan Newsome in there. It's an entirely, I think it's unrecognizable to what it was before. And that allows Sherrod to go play on the defensive line where he can use his natural instincts and his physicality. He doesn't have to have pass, run, this, that, or the other. It just allows him to be a much better player. We obviously have a great deal of speed on there because Dylan's a really fast kid and really dependable young man as well. So we look incredibly different with Dylan back here, and we're happy for it.
When you talk about Sherrod Bowens and moving to the line, he's done such a great job for you. We've talked about him a number of times already this year. And, I've called his name a lot during games. So he was able to make an adjustment and do a lot of things for you. When he gets on the line, is in any way does the game get simplified for him? As opposed to as you said, a lot of assignments at linebacker. If you get on the line, does it become more simple? Try to beat the blocker, get to the quarterback, or get to the ball carrier?
Yeah, and he's so fast, so physical. You know what a lot of teams do is Daniel Tucson is such a great player, such a renowned player. So offenses might go in and say, hey, we're not running this play to this side. We don't really want to do this to Daniel's side. We don't really want to do this. And so we've had to combat that. And Sherrod is the ultimate combat to that because he's so physical and he's so fast. He could be a game wrecker. We think that it could be a great game changer for us because you put two strong defensive ends out there that are so athletic and so physical and have played a ton of football. I mean, these guys have a great deal of experience. It just makes us so much better.
And then you've got to pick your poison as the offense, right? If you're going to double team one of them, the other guy's going to come free.
Or read one of them or block one of them. Last year, DeSales would go away from Daniel, I think a little bit in at least one of the games, and they would arc him and read him and block him and do all these kind of things, which put people in a tremendous bind. You got to practice really hard against it. But now having two guys of similar physicality, we're hopeful it's really going to be helpful.
All right. Before we get into a specific DeSales breakdown, I got one more thing I want to ask you about. There's one set of numbers that I've looked at week after week, and they've been negative against you. And I want to ask you about them, and it's the third down conversions. And again, last week it was like 3 and 11. And look, I know that you're a guy that likes to go with trickery on fourth down. A couple of weeks ago, Bryce January took the snap on a punt, got a first down. I get all of that, but is there any concern when you get to that third down to be a little bit more consistent in that area and start to move the chains?
We always look for consistency, and we talk every day. It's a battle for consistency, but I think our third downs, like you hit on, is a little bit different. A 3rd and 4 to us, we may or may not be looking for a 4-yard play. The 3rd and 6 for us, we're not looking for a 6-yard play. Certainly, we're looking for a 3-yard play so we can get it to 4th and 3, or a 4-yard play so we can get it to 4th and 2. So we kind of approach everything as a 4-down offense. So third down is not necessarily like second down, but it's close second down. The most important kind of down and distance for us is first down. We want to be positive on first down. If you can get 4 yards on first down, you're really loving life. But you want to have positive gains on first down because 2nd and 10 becomes like like the old third down.
All right, let's talk about DeSales. This is a team that, of course, you and your players know inside and out. Last year, you had to play them 3 times. They got you all 3 times, including in the playoffs, and they went on to the state championship game. A lot of the same faces. Some of them have disappeared, but a lot of the same faces, and it really starts with their quarterback, Whit Hobgood. What did you learn about him last year, and what have you seen on film this year that you have to be able to contain?
Yeah, I like him. He's a big, strong, physical young man. He throws the ball well with a strong arm. And, when he runs, it's very dangerous. In the back of my mind, I think that may be a big part of their game plan is getting him to run. And he's their best offensive weapon. I don't think there's any question of that. I mean, he is the one who makes everything go. I've seen him a little bit in the offseason. Seems like a really nice young man, probably from a great family. But he's a great football player. He beat us on a couple deep balls last year, getting our really good players who are back this year. So we've got to be able to defend everything. He does a good job.
And of course, they, like you, they like to use a lot of trickery, a lot of movement along the offensive line. I know last week in their big win, they got the They got the jet sweeps going. They had a lot of misdirection. How much are you going to have to deal with that?
Yeah, we've worked on it all week. I mean, I think we've got to be disciplined and play football. I mean, they try to do a good job of taking things away as we become a different coverage team. I think that may have helped some things because in the past they would try to remove guys, and but now they have a new offensive staff. So as we become a different coverage team, they're gonna dink and dunk and take what we can give them. I mean, that's a possibility. So it provides a lot of challenges for us, but we've worked hard all week to try to conquer those.
Has this game been circled on your calendar, yours, your players? I mean, look, with the rivalry and what happened last year, have you been waiting for this one?
Well, personally, certainly, I've heard a lot from them, and and they won the game, so they deserve it. And you sit back and you just take it and you try to get better, and that's how the only way you can handle it. So from a personal pride standpoint, there's no question, and I know that's pretty weak, but that is the case. Now, from the most important thing from the kids' standpoint, you haven't heard a lot from the kids. They've had a great week of practice. We've had as great a week of practice as we've had that I can remember. We start talking to them about our teams in the second half of the year, what they look like. And we just don't say, hey, Hartley gets better every year, because I don't know what that means. But we say what practices look like. We don't miss blocks. We don't miss assignments. We communicate better. Balls aren't on the ground in the pass game. Things that may happen earlier in the year in practice don't happen. Should not happen this time of year. And that's what it looked like. And a lot of enthusiasm. But I promise nobody in our locker room has the will towards DeSales. They're great kids like our kids, but we certainly want to win, and it's important, and it is it's a big deal to us, that's for sure. All the CCL games are a huge deal to us, and the fact that they beat us in a regional final, I mean, certainly it stings. I mean, because that's what you want to be there and you want to do it. But these are completely different teams. Both teams are completely different, and this is going to have a completely different narrative tonight.
One thing about your team that I think is different, and when you're talking about that, tell me if you agree. When you're saying how the kids really haven't said anything, they've just gone out and they've done their work, and you've had a really good week of practice. Isn't that the sign of a team that has matured, a team with older players that is just kind of carrying itself the right way?
Yeah, I hope so. And I think we've settled in a little bit too. We've had a tremendous lineup changes with kids in and out, whether it's injury or illness or whatnot. And we now have a full team back. And so players have kind of identified where their roles can be to help them become most successful and help the team be most successful. And then they're able to master those roles. It's no longer, hey, we've got this guy defensive end, but we got to play him at tackle too. And this guy's a linebacker. And then this guy's. So we've kind of identified roles and identified what we think we can be best at doing. It doesn't mean we're perfect in those areas, but at least we can work towards mastery of those. And we certainly have really mature, older kids, really, really good kids.
We normally don't talk about outside pressures, if you will, but I know this is the one game that as the week goes on and it gets closer to Friday, there's a lot of talk in the classroom, a lot of talk in the cafeteria. There's, a lot of chatter about this game amongst the student body in general, isn't there?
Yeah. Oh, it's heated. It is. It's important, and it is. It's a big rivalry. We've both been really good for a long time, and these are important games. And the winner of this game has won the CCL since I think 2014. So it has been the winner of this game. So it is. It is important. It doesn't mean that's how it's going to go this year. Obviously, Waterston St. Charles will have something to say about it, and who knows what twists and turns come down the stretch here. But this is an important game and good football teams, and it's going to be exciting. I know 60th year of the CCL, so some of the legendary coaches are coming back to do the coin toss, and it'll be neat. And it speaks to the tradition of our league, how good these teams are and how state renowned they are.
And I know you're going to be in primetime Friday Night Lights this week on the CW, but I hope your players are just used to that, since we're broadcasting live every week from there anyway. So that being on TV is not a big deal.
One of the WB guys talking about pressure, he said to me the other day, he said, do you have to explain these losses? And I thought to myself, to you, who am I? I don't know who am I explaining or what I'm explaining. I promise these will be one really good football team won't score as many points as another really good football team. And that's how it happened when we played Harvest Prep and Ursuline and Benedictine and DeSales. And that's the way it goes. And, but that's the fun part too. I think that, everybody's got to turn off the high state game. I know they're not winning 1,000-0, and understand that that's the fun part, is going out there competing and battling. And if things go sideways, you're going to come back like heck and get better. And if things go well, you're going to celebrate with the people that you love and care about. And that's what's really, really fun. And that's what we should be doing with sports.
Well, I agree with you 100%. And I love this game. And I'm so glad to be at this game because of the energy that surrounds it. As you said, I'm sure it's going to be a great game played between two great teams. And I'm actually also happy that you get it on your home field after what happened last year. So, hey, take advantage of that home field best you can.
We've made enough trips to North Columbus here for a little while.
Brad, thank you very much and best of luck.
Thanks, Bob.
It is always a big week when the Bishop Hartley Hawks take on the Stallions of St. Francis DeSales like they will this Friday night at Jack Ryan Field. Now, if you would like to watch this game this week, we normally have it for you on our Bishop Hartley YouTube channel, and we will, with the catch. This game is going to air live on the CW network in Columbus. So if you live in Columbus, you can watch it live on TV through the CW network. If you normally watch it on the YouTube page, if you're out of the market and you watch us on YouTube, you can do that, but the game will run tape delay after it ends. So it's live on TV. When it ends on the TV broadcast, then we will put it up on our YouTube page for you to go back and watch at your leisure. Now, you can also listen to the game live. So if you want to watch it on the CW network and you want to hear our call through the radio broadcast, just go to GameDayBroadcasting.com, turn down your TV sound, and turn up GameDayBroadcasting.com, and we'll bring you the call of the game. So you have many options as how to watch and listen to this game this week. It will be a great rematch of these two rivals. St. Francis DeSales, Bishop Hartley, head-to-head, Jack Ryan Field, 7 o'clock Friday night. That'll do it for this week's Hartley Football Game Day. It's been brought to you by Hutta and Price Orthodontics. I'm Bob McElligott.